All right, let's be real for a second. We've all been there, right? Stuck clicking through some mind-numbing corporate training, just watching the clock, waiting for it to be over. Well, today we're going to figure out why that happens, and more importantly, how we can actually fix it.
Let's just get it out there. And hey, I'm not the only one who thinks so. The e-learning designer Tim Slade, he just puts it bluntly. Most of it is just bad. It's this shared frustration that almost everyone in a corporate job has felt at some point.
So why is that? Why is so much of the training we're forced to take a complete and utter waste of time? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now.
To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to understand the problem first. And honestly, there's no better way to do that than by looking at a real-world example of training that just totally misses the point.
You know, a huge part of the problem is that so many people in this field are what you might call accidental instructional designers. Take Tim Slade, for example. He started out as a mall cop, got really good at his job, and then suddenly someone said, "Hey, you should train other people." He had zero formal training in how to, well, train. Sound familiar? It happens all the time. An expert gets handed a bunch of slides and is told, "Here, make this a course."
So let's look at a classic example of what not to do. This was a real course, a mandatory 30-minute training for managers on how to give performance reviews. Everyone had to take it twice a year, and it was, let's just say, not a fan favorite. Okay, so just take a look at this. In one tiny 3-minute clip from that course, managers were expected to remember all of this. A grand total of 31 different things. 3 steps for this, 9 examples for that, 4 things to write here. It's just a massive, overwhelming information dump. There is absolutely no way anybody is remembering all of this, let alone actually using it on the job. It's just a recipe for a total system overload in your brain.
And that right there, that's why this kind of training fails. It's built with a completely wrong goal in mind. To fix it, we need a really fundamental shift in how we even think about what training is supposed to do.
This slide just lays it all out perfectly. Bad training focuses on what people need to know. It's an information dump that just assumes if you know something, your behavior will change. But great training, that focuses on what people need to do. It's all about building real skills, giving people a chance to practice, and driving actual performance on the job. This right here, this should be your mantra. I mean, think about it like this. If you were training someone to defuse a bomb, would you spend hours teaching them the history of gunpowder? Of course not. You'd focus on making sure they can actually identify the IED and know exactly which wire to cut. All that other nice-to-know stuff is useless. What matters is the action. Okay, so if our goal is all about getting people doing things, how do we structure our training to make that happen? Well, the first thing we need is a map, a framework to help us think about the learning process itself.
And that map is called Bloom's taxonomy. Now, don't let the fancy name scare you. It's basically just a system that organizes different levels of thinking from super basic stuff all the way to the most complex. It's our guide for making sure we're aiming for the right kind of learning. The easiest way to think about it is like a ladder. Down at the bottom, you've got the basics, like just remembering facts and understanding ideas. But we don't want people to stop there. As you climb the ladder, you get to applying that knowledge, then analyzing it, evaluating it, and all the way at the top, actually creating something new. The key is you can't just jump to the top. Each step builds on the one before it.
So we've got our map. Now we need a blueprint. We need a tool that helps us write super clear, actionable learning objectives that tell us exactly what we want people to be able to do by the end of it all. And here is a fantastic, super simple rule of thumb. If you can't film someone doing it, it's probably not a measurable objective. It's a great little test, right? It forces you to think about whether your goal is something concrete and observable, or if it's just a vague, fuzzy idea. Now, the classic tool for this is the SMART framework. I'm sure you've seen it before. Your objective needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Think of it as a checklist that makes sure your plan is solid, concrete, and actually built around those strong action verbs we get from our Bloom's taxonomy map. So let's look at a typical, terrible objective. Employees will learn new skills. I mean, come on. What does that even mean? What skills? How on earth would you know if they've learned them? You can't measure this. And you definitely can't film it. It's useless. Now compare that to a SMART objective. After this training, the sales team will be able to pinpoint the differences between our new product and our competitors. Ah, see the difference? It's specific, It's totally relevant to their job, and you can absolutely 100% measure whether or not they can do it. Okay, map? Check. Blueprint? Check. Now, for the last piece of the puzzle, a simple formula that helps us put all of this together into one perfectly structured learning objective. It's called the ABCD method. It's super straightforward. A is for audience. Who are we training? B is for behavior. What specific, observable thing will they do? This B is everything. It's where you plug in that powerful action verb from Bloom's. C is for condition. Under what circumstances? And D is for degree. How well do they have to do it?
And here it is. This is where the magic happens. Look how it all comes together. The audience is the workshop participant. The behavior is will be able to write. The condition is using Bloom's taxonomy. And the degree is with at least 75% accuracy. See, all three of our tools are working together. We used Bloom's to pick a good verb, and the SMART and ABCD frameworks helped us build a complete, measurable goal around it. There's no guesswork here. It's crystal clear.
All right, now that we know what we should be doing, let's take a quick look at what we should not be doing. Because avoiding these common mistakes is just as important as using all the right tools. First things first, please stop using these vague, unmeasurable verbs. Words like understand, know, learn, they're impossible to measure. How do you prove someone understands something? You can't. But you can prove they can list, or explain, or demonstrate. Be specific. Stick to verbs that describe an action.
And this is the big one. The number one mistake people make is creating training before they even know if training is the right solution. You have to ask the hard questions first. Is this really a skill problem, or is it a bad process? Is it a knowledge gap, or is nobody motivated? If you design a learning solution for a problem that isn't about learning, you're just wasting everyone's time and money.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. The next time you're asked to create some kind of training, what's your first question going to be? Are you going to fall into the old trap of thinking about all the stuff they need to know? Or are you going to shift your focus to the one thing that actually matters? What do they need to be able to do?